Hello, welcome to Retro Cheese Review, where I force my friends and loved ones to watch the cheesiest videos that I can find from my childhood. With me today is John McDermott. John?
Hello, everyone. Yes, it is me. You may all applaud.
I'm hitting the applause button. I've brought John on for the third time, not just because he's my friend, but for some reason his videos are just getting the most views. It seems that you all love John. If you like John and want to see more videos of John, leave lots and lots of comments and likes and subscribes. If you don't like John, please be nice. Unlike Rob, we don't do hate comments for John. We do hate comments for Rob. Even though Rob's not on this video, leave a hate comment for Rob, though. I'd appreciate that.
If you have any hate comments for me, address them to Rob.
Yeah, instead of saying John, specifically say Rob. Whatever you hate
Yes.
about John, refer to Rob.
Just edit it.
Yes. So today we'll be reviewing the 1984 classic Night of the Comet. Every movie, just like myself, that is great came out in 1984. I was born in 84, and I'm pretty sure Back to the Future, Gremlins, every amazing movie came out in 84, including Night of the Comet. Very, very 80s movie.
80s in general. It was a magic time.
Yeah, it was. Oddly enough, diving in really quick to the Rotten Tomatoes score. So this one's a little confusing for me because the critics gave it a 79%,
Ooh.
but the audience only gave it a 58%. And I think it's because a modern audience can't appreciate the awesomeness of how 80s it is, because it is one of the most 80s movies ever made.
I believe our mutual friend Phil, friend of the show, would refer to it as dangerously 80s.
It is. I was a huge fan of this as a kid, though. I don't know why. My mom had me watch a lot of old horror movies when I was very little. Very little. I think I probably saw this the first time when I was 5. Diving in really quick to... Well, actually, before we dive into the plot, you've not seen this before, have you?
So after viewing it, I realized I have seen parts of it.
Okay, so... I don't...
Yeah.
Could you give a nostalgia review of the parts of it that you saw previously?
I mean, they were probably in the past 10 years. So it was more of that scene. I have seen this part. I thought that was a dream or something. I had no connection to it.
It was randomly playing on UPN in the 90s or something.
I don't know. I've seen the entire mall scene before, but had no context to what was going on.
It's the best scene in the movie.
This part. Okay, now I get this.
That mall scene, which we'll get into a little bit more, is just shooting straight 1980s into your veins.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I can give it a nostalgia review. I was always a fan of these types of movies. I would have given it as a kid probably a 4 out of 5. Not my favorite horror movie as a kid. It was up there with Silver Bullet. It is still considered my favorite. Wasn't written, unlike most of my favorite horror movies from this time. It wasn't. It wasn't from Stephen King. So
You can tell it's not depressing enough.
Yeah, it's not. It's not weird. Enough. It's not got. Not to get too much into it, but it doesn't feel like it was written by someone who was high on NyQuil.
They might have been high on something, but not NyQuil.
They were high on Reaganomics. Someone got Reagan shut down the mental hospitals, and they were like, well, I got to do something. They took out their napkin and their crayon, and they wrote a goddamn movie. That's why we got so much greatness out of the 80s, is a mix of cocaine, credit cards becoming a thing, and all the mental hospitals shutting down.
Just a bunch of people allowed to free write everything they want.
Yeah. Napkins on the bar with in crayon. That's what all of these scripts were written in. Getting into the plot a little bit, which there was a plot. That's not... usually I'm like, what plot, So there's a comet That's why it's called Night of the Comet. And everyone's super fucking excited for the comet, except for some scientists that are like, well, we're gonna die. They did almost like a Star Wars opening, like explaining like the whole thing of like, this comet came around 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs mysteriously disappeared. But nobody is worried about that for some reason. Like, almost like the announcer's like condescending about how stupid people are that they're partying instead of being worried about it. Except for some people, and it shows like this like group of scientists locking themselves in like a fallout shelter.
Yeah, the moment I saw that, I was like, ooh, Vault-Tec. I wonder what experiment they're doing.
You instantly see that, and you're like, oh, those are going to be the bad guys. So it's the Enclave.
There you go.
So, like, the plot, basically, you've got this supposed teenage girl working in a movie theater. It's the 1980s, so the older teenager who's supposed to be, like, 18 is played by, like, a 45-year-old. As is. She's not a very good movie theater employee. She's annoyed because I don't even remember what game she was playing. It was an old arcade game.
I have no idea. It may have just been made up for the movie, for all I could tell.
Yeah, and she's annoyed because there's one person, DMK, that took over one of her high scores, because before that she had all of them. So clearly she doesn't do very much work at this movie theater.
Yeah, the boss is hassling her the entire time.
Yeah, and she steals some popcorn and then goes and shacks up with the projection guy. So, like, everyone else is partying for the comet, but she's going to have sex with the projection guy. Typical 18-year-old, rebellious girl behavior. She calls home to have her little sister cover for her, who's supposed to be, like, 16, but is clearly, like, 35,
Something like that, definitely.
Like
I actually believed that the older daughter was younger than the younger daughter.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Their stepmom's there because their dad's, like, former Green Beret and is fighting in, like, Honduras or some shit they mention. This is important to the plot because it makes it more believable that these teenage girls are badasses, that their dad's a Green Beret, and when he left wanted to make sure that they know what they're doing. That was an important plot point. They didn't just want the girls to be badasses like in most horror movies. They were like, listen. I want people to believe that these girls are badasses, okay? So she's shacking up with that guy. The blonde girl gets into a fight with her stepmom because her stepmom's, like, having sex with the neighbor.
I almost texted you when I saw that part because it was slapped the mom. No. Mom slaps daughter. Daughter slaps mom. Mom sucker punches daughter over the couch.
Oh, full on, like, she had a good, like, cross on her, too.
Now, are you going to join the party?
Join the party for what, Doris? So I can watch Chuck from across the street stick his hands down your pants? I think that's something Daddy should know.
Chuck's a nice guy. He's certainly nice to be with while Daddy's down in Banana Land.
You were born with an asshole, Doris. You don't need Chuck.
Yeah,
like, I'm surprised. That was the Karen cross right there, because she was like a full on, like, a full on suburban Karen, and she's just like, well, how dare you slap me? I'm gonna fucking Mike Tyson punch out your ass.
Knocks her on the floor, and then she just straightens up like, okay, now behave, bye, and walks off.
Isn't her name Diane? I'm calling her Karen, but I think her name's Diane.
Karen's very appropriate.
We'll just call her Karen for the rest of this.
For
all of you out there, for all of you out there named Karen, I'm sorry, but the internet has spoken about your name. So yeah, like, that happens. The projection dude is a typical, he seems like kind of a douche. I don't know. He's gonna pay her like $15 for shacking up with him. It's like, hey, I'm not a whore. And it's like, hey, the $15 is to hang out with me. The sex is free. She's like, just so we're clear.
And then $110 for a guy to rent a movie for one night.
Well, he wants to take their actual, like, projection copy illegally, like, for a night. So they have to wait there to get it back. It was an old classic movie. So that's why they're missing the comet and they're shacking up there, is because he's like illegally rented this to this guy and has to stay, at the theater. Because back then we didn't have cell phones, so they couldn't contact them. So that all happens. Everyone's watching the comet, and then they just sort of show people watching the comet go by, and all this like weird like Aurora Borealis or David Boreanaz goes on, the lights in the sky.
I really liked. Before the comet shows up, they did one little bit of like hinting that things were going bad, and that was the news guy, the reporter, trying to say Newfoundland.
Yeah, it's in like Newfoundland, Canada is the first one to see the comet, and it's supposed to be hours before. Like, how fucking slow is this comet?
And they've lost contact with that area.
It's like, yeah, but we lost some contact with them, but they're probably fine. Fucking don't worry about it. It's like, with the way that people freaked out about Y2K, like how nonchalant people are in this movie about a comet that happened to, cross over when all the dinosaurs died, and they've lost contact with all the other parts of the world that's seen the comet, but they're just like, fuck yeah, comet, let's drink.
And in the last second, I like how you actually see Karen be like, yeah, something wrong with my eyes. That's weird. And then it blacks out.
Yeah, and the best thing happens, and Karen turns to dust.
Everybody turns to dust. It's just free clothing everywhere.
Yeah, it's weird because they claim it's what killed the dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs didn't turn to dust. We have fossils. It would have made more sense if, like, they turned to skeletons, but no, they're just full on, like, red Mars dust. I think they mentioned, the scientists later, that it's calcium dust that everyone turned into.
Yes.
So we get to the morning. The one, I think her name's Regina. She has very big 80s hair. That she wakes up, and her boyfriend, her boyfriend wakes up. He goes because he's mad that one dude didn't come to return the movie. And as soon as he goes outside, this zombie dude just beats him to death with a pipe wrench.
The moment he opens the door, bump, they're dead.
Just bam! Yeah. Regina goes out, and this is where you learn having a green beret for a father's great. And she's using practical self-defense. That's the funny thing. Like, if you've taken a self-defense class, the movie knew, as cheesy as it was, like, it did some practical self-defense. She kicks this half-zombie guy's ass, takes a motorcycle, and gets the fuck home. Her little sister's somehow fine and explains that she ran away and, like, hid in, like, a freaking... She's like, I ran away from home, but I, hung out in like a steel shack, all night. Just happened to hang out in a steel shack.
Nobody, who doesn't?
She's trying to the older sister's trying to convince the younger one that everyone's dead. She doesn't believe it. They hear a voice on the radio station. They go to the radio station. It's just an auto thing. But that's where they meet Commander Chakotay of the Starship Voyager. I don't know. I don't remember his character's name, but I remember. I'm like, this movie was made in 1984. Voyager came out in like what, the late 90s?
It was Hank or Frank.
I don't know.
One of those.
I don't remember his name. I should. I'm gonna.
I want to think it's one of those, but dude, that radio station. Holy crap! One, very 80s.
It's a fancy radio station.
Very fancy and really poor lighting.
Yeah, very poorly lit. It's very 80s lit. They're like, we need this vibe that they need to know that it's a radio station and it's in the 80s. Yeah, it's Hector. That's his name in it. Robert Beltran.
I was close with the Hank.
Yeah, Robert Beltran from Star Trek Voyager. And I'm thinking like, so here's the reason I was wondering with Star Trek Voyager when it came out. I've got to look here. So Voyager came out in 95. So this was 11 years later. This son of a bitch looks exactly like he did in Voyager. I swear he's a vampire. Like, he shows up and I'm like, this was made in 84. How old was this guy when Voyager came out?
Are you saying that he's in the same cult like Paul Rudd and Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, who left the cult and now
I have to look what he looks like now. Like, I have to look this up.
So I'm convinced there's a group of artists that all have formed this cult and stay young.
So like, he's grayed, but that's about it. He's grayed and he's got a couple of wrinkles.
But same face, everything.
But like, yeah, like for how old he is, like he's You know, he's gonna randomly watch this video and just be like, well, thank you. Yeah, he's 69 years old and the guy looks 40.
And I'm gonna disappear because I called out their cult.
You called out their cult, so they'll make you disappear. So
Not again.
He shows up. He's got like a gun. They make fun of how small his gun is and tell him that it's too small for the thing. You know, there's that whole thing. That they're, you know, the blonde teenage sister has some nightmares of like cops that are zombies molesting her. Pretty much. It was like a nightmare within a nightmare.
She's drinking while driving. Oh, the nightmare within a nightmare. That was actually kind of cool the second time.
Oh, the
first
nightmare within a
I was-
nightmare was cool.
Yeah, the first time I was like, "This, she's dreaming," because where did this all come from? But the second one, I was like, "Oh, yeah, you kind of almost maybe jumped there. Good job."
So yeah, you find out Hector was a truck driver, and during the Comet, he was shacking up with his girlfriend in the back of his semi-truck, also made of steel, and
How that
completely
works.
covered.
That's glass stuff.
No, not the back, like the actual bed. Like they have a
Yeah.
for sleeper. Yeah, my older brother was a truck driver at one point, so I kind of know this. He was fine, and he mentions that his girlfriend got freaked out when they saw one of those zombie things eating a cat and ran off, and she got killed. He decides he's going to go to San Diego, whereas and will be back because he's got to make sure his family's, you know, for sure dead. They're going to go to the Air Force Base nearby and get some fucking guns, and they even mentioned to Hector he should go there. That leads to a scene of them testing out machine guns that they've taken from the Air Force Base, and bitching because their dad would have bought them Uzis and they wouldn't have jammed the way these guns do.
Yep.
Which comes back later, the jamming of the gun. And that then leads to like Hector going to San Diego and some little kid trying to eat him.
The creepiest kid that I swear came from Goosebumps.
I loved that scene as a kid. I was like, that's some good makeup and that's good acting. This kid's like, you know, and he doesn't kill the kid. He's like, he even makes this funny line of, "Hey, you're lucky I like kids."
I like how he opened the door because he heard the growling, saw the kid, and he's just like, "Nope, close."
Yeah, I forgot to also mention that the science group called the radio station, but it got cut off, and they were telling them to stay nearby and stuff and don't go out.
But they only talk to the younger sister. That's right.
Yeah, and they show like, and there's clearly this one female scientist that just, for some reason, she's like, we shouldn't be doing this, you know, that we shouldn't bring outside people in, and the science people are acting kind of like they're getting sick. They're pretty heavy-handing, hinting what's going on here.
Yeah.
So then this leads then to the greatest scene ever because the girls were left alone, and the sister is, you know, got a rash and has been wearing her cheerleading outfit and needs new clothes. So they go to the mall and have a scene of
shopping montage.
They stupidly set down their guns. Their dad's got to be like in hell, rolling around, being like, "What the fuck? I did not teach you this, you dumbasses." And then you get like these creepy, almost like 80s band wannabe dudes who are running the mall. The shopping montage to girls just want to have fun. They're like dancing around and shopping, and showing off the cool clothes that they've got. These guys give off both zombie and rapey vibes. It's really creepy. They're like, they all have like heavy duty guns. They're all pale as hell, sunglasses, and they're using the security cams and being all creepy and shit. There's like a standoff where Regina takes one of them hostage, but they've got like her sister hostage, but the guy's just like, I don't give a fuck, and just shoots the guy. It's weird because this was rated PG-13 and there was a lot of cursing. You could get away with that more in the 80s. And it ends with like, they get tied up. They're like chained up and the guy's playing Russian roulette with them. But then the scientists show up and just blast the fuck out of those people. They reveal they're zombies when he takes off his sunglasses. Like, they're like fresh. They're turning into zombies, kind of. But they still have cognitive function.
Yeah, they don't ever really explain why people just suddenly go murder crazy. They just
It's
do.
because of their brains deteriorating slowly. It's kind of like with because they're dehydrating. Like
that's what I figured, but
yeah.
I don't remember them ever like.
They don't go into heavy detail, but like they're dehydrating. So, and the one scientist even mentions that they might go violent soon, that kind of thing. Like they get more violent when they can't concentrate. So Scientist, the one lady's like, it's pretty clear with that rash that one girl's, sick. Let's just bring her sister, and then we'll tell her that we're waiting on the one Hector dude. She does that because she wants to save the younger sister. She knows that it's just a rash. She blood tests her. So she, tranquilizes her and then shoots her own friend, the other scientist. And then by the time Hector shows up, she's just got a note because she's, deteriorating fast, and she knows they all are. And it's a note, Hector shows up dressed as Santa with all these gifts, and she's just got a note.
The Santa scene.
Yeah. She's got a note detailing exactly how he can get into the base and rescue them and everything. And then she's just, injected herself to kill her. And just yeah, good night. I'm gonna die now. By the way, the girl said you're cute, and you are,
I was trying to, after that scene was done, I was looking at from Hector's point of view of coming in dressed as Santa, expecting to find your girls, and find random creepy lady who says, by the way, I killed your friend, didn't kill your friend, now I'm going to die too.
Though, thinking about it, the scientists are evil, but if it wasn't for the scientist, Hector would have shown up, would have wandered around looking for them, and eventually would have found them dead in the mall and probably would have gotten killed by those guys also.
Yeah.
They would have been dead in the mall. Yeah. If he found them at all. So this leads to, they're at the science base. They basically make sure to show that the scientists are horrible because they've got kids that they're going to milk for blood.
Right.
Yeah, they've got little kids. The girl's got a little bunny. And they're going to, and the one scientist is like, oh, I love kids, talking about how they're going to put them under. And they're, going to put them under, and they're like, oh, this won't hurt. It'll just make you go see Santa. That's so fucked up, man. And they've got a ton of, catatonic corpses that they're, milking for blood. Even though, there's a small chance. Because you find out the scientist, that you have to be completely coated in, enclosed in steel to avoid getting exposed, and the zombies are people that had partial exposure to the comet, and the scientist accidentally left their vents open or some shit, so they're slowly deteriorating. Dumbasses. Not very good science. Next you'll be telling me the Earth's round, dumbass. But yeah, they get into that. Regina immediately knows shit's going on, and literally bashes one of the scientists with a keyboard, goes around just fucking the shit out of all of them, beating the shit out of them. Hector shows up with explosives and shit, and he has the blonde in a trunk, and he's dressed as a cowboy for some reason. He's never had a southern accent before. He's just one of those hey, we're gonna go rescue your sister, but let me go get a cowboy outfit first. This will be fucking hilarious.
I've already done Santa Claus today, so
let's do cowboy. Yeah.
And I like how the younger sister is wandering around the base just nonchalantly.
Oh, she's not nonchalant. Well, first she's in the trunk, and it's hey, check out this dead body, to the guy, and he's oh, is she dead? And he's no, she's not dead. This other scientist just pumped her full of tranquilizers, and then she beats the shit out of the guy. Grabs her, and they break his neck or crush his head with the trunk. But you think that Hector, the big dude, he's gonna be the rescue mission one. Hector's just setting up explosives the whole time while the little sister goes full fucking Green Beret commando. She's it's not really nonchalant. She's going around cutting the power and all that shit.
Oh, I know, but she's having a good time doing it. She runs into her. Yeah.
A great time.
She finds her sister, and she's just oh, hey, I finally found you. Hooray.
Yeah. And they rescue the kids also. They kill all of the fucking scientists. They're about to drive away, but Hector's taunting them. They're hey, let's get the fuck out of here. We got kids here. He's no, this will be funny. Trust me. He's flipping them off, and he gets them to start up the car, which blows up the entire base. He's rigged it. He's yeah, trust me. And then this one scientist dude who's gone full zombie tries to grab the little kid with the bunny and just gets his fucking brains blown out by Hector. Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to later on where they've clearly formed a family, Hector and and Regina and the children, and the sister's just pissed because there's no she's maybe I'll become a nun, no other guys, and then some dude almost runs her over. They're giving her shit for not using the crosswalk when everybody's dead, and this guy almost runs her over.
Traffic lights here.
Yeah, we obey the goddamn traffic laws. I don't care if everyone's made of dust. And he almost runs her over, and then he's well, you should have looked at the And then he drives. They clear. It's a dude about her age, and then they drive off in his His license plate says DMK, so it ties it all back together that he's the guy that had beat her high score.
He gets mentioned like, one other time in the middle of the film. I don't remember why, and that's it. So if you don't remember that original scene, that's not going to make a lick of sense.
The DMK thing doesn't make it. Yeah. She was like, nice car, and he's like, thanks. I got like 30 of them because it's the apocalypse. So yeah, you know. And it's like she's not known this guy ever, and she just rides off with him. And you know that it's going to be like happily ever after. I don't know how the power plants and stuff are still running. They don't really.
Right?
It wouldn't, but it's happily ever after at least because you pretty much find out all the zombie people are deteriorating anyway and will eventually be dust. So it's not like they have to deal with zombies because even the people who are just barely exposed by that point have turned to dust.
And now Reg and Hector and the kids are a happy family and playing football in the interstate or whatever.
I don't know how they're going to repopulate. I don't think the two kids are related. They don't look related. I don't know what happened to their parents.
Yeah. The ending was just like, this is how we end? Oh, okay.
This is how they end the movie. I'm sure there's other survivors because that's just the survivors of Southern California they've found.
Yeah.
But really, like, how many people were in a steel building during the comet, you know, completely unexposed? Why were there those kids in a steel building? They don't explain that.
All I know, if this happened in real life, I'd be dust already. You'd be dust, you know.
Speak for yourself, I wouldn't be dust.
No, we'd be outside just stupidly looking up at a comet. Or at least inside.
Rob would host a comet party.
Oh, Rob would.
And none of us have a steel house.
No.
No. I've watched Night of the Comet enough that, like, maybe I'd be like, guys, there's a comet. We should probably go find, like, a steel shack or something to hang out in. And then Rob would be like, shut up and drink a beer, dude.
Half of us would listen to you and be sitting there complaining about how a bad party is.
The only thing I would know is that if there were those, like, half zombie people, that we'd be fine. Like, Rob would just punch them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You'd steel-toed boot kick them.
It works.
Only the first one was really creepy. He had with that pipe wrench and yelling, come here. He was the creepy one.
I wanted there to be more zombie people encounters.
It wasn't really a zombie movie, though.
No,
like,
it wasn't.
There were very few. I think that they're supposed to be even showing that, like, there weren't a ton of people who were only partially exposed. There's the mall workers because they were they were the stock people. So they were stocking the mall at night, so they were partially exposed because they were inside. But because everyone was so dumb that they all went outside, that almost everyone was instantly turned to dust. I think it's the vast emptiness of the world that was part of the scary part.
So, was this less of a zombie movie and more of a rapture movie? They got raptured.
It's a zombie movie, a rapture movie, a girl shopaholic movie, a female empowerment movie,
and science gone evil movie.
Yes, the scientists are the bad guys. It's a heartwarming family movie because the girl gets her bunny and the boy gets her football, and they find their new family. It's a romantic comedy because Hector and Reg get together. Mm-hmm. It's the perfect movie. I will argue that.
And no, I can't say no children were harmed because there were so many children harmed.
Every movie that came out in 1984 was perfect. And those people who tried to kill the kids, they got their comeuppance because they're like laying there like with the laughing gas on their head, on their face laughing, and they've got a sign that says, went to see Santa.
Probably one of the creepier scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah, but like, hey, they were gonna kill kids.
Yeah, no, they got what they deserved.
And I still think about the whole, I love kids. We won't get nearly as much blood out of them as the adults, but they're healthy. We'll get some blood.
They'll be fine.
Jesus Christ, like, how much of a ghoul are you? And how much is like the sand eating away? Like, and it's like this giant think tank with hundreds of people, and only one of the scientists is like, guys, this is horrible.
Yeah, and
like
the second best person is the one he shot, and he's the second best because he was just like, oh no, protocol.
Yeah, he's still a douchebag though.
Oh, he is, but he was like the least bad of the douches.
Listen, just following orders is not an excuse, John.
Oh no,
you know who used that. a group that I can't say because YouTube will like strike my video for saying it.
Yeah, about your pamphlet, I'm not seeing anything about German history between 1939 and 1945. There's just a big gap. Everyone was on vacation.
We'll have that discussion another time.
Yeah, we'll have that discussion another time. So, getting in, because we're about at the 30-minute mark, what is your rewatch rating of this? Or your first-time watch, realistically? What would you rate this? And remember, here at Retro Cheese Review, we don't have a specific scale, so just don't be Rob and rate it like a sack of potatoes out of 3 or something.
I either want to give it a 2 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5. A 2 out of 5 because part of me wants to scream, what the hell did I just watch? But a 4 out of 5 because I was also entertained.
Okay.
So we'll give it like a 2.5.
You're gonna splitting the difference would have been a 3, John. That's math.
No. And then it goes down a little.
It doesn't deserve that.
Because the internal screaming of what did I just watch wins.
I really still enjoyed the rewatch.
Yeah.
I still laughed during the girls just want to have fun scene. I still enjoyed all of the action scenes. No one was a terrible actor for how, I mean, obviously Hector went on to be the second in command of the Voyager, on a major network known as UPN. That's almost as good as being in Deep Space Nine. Not as good as being in Deep Space Nine.
It started good.
It's the opposite of Deep Space Nine. We're not getting into Voyager too much. But I'll say it's the opposite of Deep Space Nine in that it started good and ended bad. DS9 started kind of and so did Next Gen. Started kind of weak and ended really good.
We could agree.
Next Gen probably started the worst and ended the best. First season of Next Gen's pretty weak. So getting into because we're over 30 minutes, and I've tried to stick these to 30 minutes usually. Getting into my rewatch review, I'm gonna give it a 9.8 out of 10. Usually, just because I don't know how to do that in a 4 out of 5 scale. I think that would be a 4.7 or something, but I'm giving it 9.8 because math out of 10. Because I thoroughly still enjoyed this. I'm probably biased because it was one of my first horror movies, and I'm still blinded by nostalgia. But if you don't agree with me and you're in the comments, fight me. In the comments, not in real life. In real life, but don't dox me or anything. Just come to a gym when my hip's better. No.
You can fight Rob.
Yeah, if you don't agree with me, fight Rob. If you don't agree, leave a hate comment. I enjoy those. Give me a thumbs down. If you did enjoy this movie, leave a comment saying that you also like this movie. If you don't give a shit about this movie, like and subscribe anyway, because I don't care. I need subscribes. They always say don't ask for subscribers, but I'm asking you to subscribe. Because you're watching this video, subscribe. Feel bad that you're watching this video without being subscribed, and do the right thing.
And tell your friends to watch this video so that it's one of the most watched ones of Trevor's channel. So that
John's
I'm
in this, so it will be.
3 for 3, come on, people.
Yeah, somehow, this week, the most watched video that I have is still the Honey, We Blew Up the Kid one.
Everybody just wants more John.
Everybody wants more John. We'll prove my testing with this by, having this the most watched video. This will prove definitively that it's John. I'm going to start A/B testing these videos with John.
I do not know why they want more John, but they want more John.
Yeah, I even told John. I told Rob with his stupid YouTube channel that you need to do a little short on there. But thank you all for watching again. Like and subscribe, and have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.